with a group of us. A report has been circulating around, and Lou has offered a wonderful thing to get the NRT slightly involved, to do some fencing around and so on. So I will send out a better report about that to the whole committee.
Yeah, if I could just add, Sally, Lou and I
Sure.
were there today. We walked to the cemetery, and I have reached out to a Boy Scout leader who will meet with me tomorrow, who will involve his troop in potentially cleaning the site and doing some trail work. So what we really need to do is, once I get that underway, or get a commitment from him, is go to the Concom and see, if they give us permission to do that, because it is their land. So I've been getting mixed signals from the Concom as to whether or not they even want to participate in this. So, so it's a little problematical, but I think it's nothing we can't overcome.
Yeah. There's no public access from Mill Street. I love the maps.
Lou did some research on that.
Yeah.
And there is some public access from Ephraim, but it does not appear on the assessor's maps. It might just be a right to pass and repass, which would be included in the deeds rather than actually a strip of land that's owned by the town that you could go over. So it might be on the deeds of the abutting property owners, but that would be a very problematical way to get in there.
Yeah, no, what I was just going to say is parking is limited, but still, it would be very nice to have it opened up, marked a trail, very simple.
It's not that hard to get parking at the end of it on Mill Street, walk in, and then up the hill to the site. So we're going to move forward with that, and hopefully
this is wonderful.
We'll get something done.
Yay. And then, good, if I can move on then, for Mansfield Pride, we've moved from a pre-recorded event with the progress flag to a very private but live event, which will be screened online. The town manager gave us very specific instructions, like we're not to invite anybody, blah, blah, blah. And even if he sees too many people around, he's just going to call it quits in terms of supporting, contributing to this. On the other hand, I see May 20th, months from now, the COVID figures might look very different. And we would ask him if we could just have everyone spaced out every other parking space.
Well, he said it was limited to your group, but he didn't really define what your group is. I assume your group means all of us, right?
I thought it was the participants.
Really?
I thought it was.
That is private.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to clarify that.
Yeah, I'm looking through my email. Well, anyway, yeah.
He just said your group, so I don't know what that means. But
we have May 20th. We can look at it. I mean, obviously, it has COVID numbers hopefully improve. We should be able to invite people. So I just think it's just a wonderful first step. We've got speakers and so on lined up. So those are the two big updates.
It is better to do it in person than to do it on video.
So thank you, Deb.
Yeah. Okay. All right, is that it?
Those are the two big updates. There's more, but we're still working on it, and I'll give progress reports later.
Okay. All right, old business fundraising, Mary Kate.
Okay, so our big fundraiser is coming up on May 6th. It's the first 100 Days Trivia Tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've been working hard on it, especially Jake Snyder, who is really excited about coming up with all the questions. This is a general knowledge trivia contest. So it's just that everything that's referenced will have happened in the first 100 days of the Biden administration. So it should be a lot of fun. We have the prize already, which will be really fun. I think everybody would enjoy it. And we just need people to register. And I'm sorry that we can't do the registration online. We talked about trying to do that, but logistically it was just going to be too difficult. So if people need another, we had already sent out the registration form and flyer, but we can send them out again for people to register and just get them back to me by, we said April 29th, and we'll get everything set up. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Emmanuel, you should invite some people from Hanover, where it's open to everybody, where it's on Zoom, so
Mhm.
$10 a person.
Great,
That
sounds
should be
good.
fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can forward it to you.
Cool.
All right.
What
Mary
event?
Kate, quick
What?
question for you. Would it be okay if people emailed you registration and submitted the payment via ActBlue?
Right there.
We didn't set it up that way.
I mean,
I don't
they
know,
could
I'm a little
just,
concerned. I just-
let you know they were paying or something. I don't know. It's up to you, but
Yeah, we needed to, the logistical issue was trying to keep teams together, trying to make sure we had everybody's email addresses for the Zoom, trying to keep all the money straight for Lisa, who's gonna have to report each individual $10 ticket. So I don't know if that's doable
Checks are
that way.
old fashioned, but a little easier to keep track of, right? Is that,
How about the people who want to just make a contribution?
you can do that anytime right now, Randy.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Then you can.
That's good. Yeah, right. No, I'm gonna play that. I'm saying, I'm gonna make a contribution for Deb, so she's not gonna play.
She's not gonna play, but you're gonna
No.
play, right?
I'm gonna play.
That should play. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think will be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Mansfield votes, but I don't see Nancy, do I?
She said, I'm filling in for her. She
okay,
got
good.
backed up with work stuff. So part of the Mansell votes with myself, Suzanne, and Nancy have been working on the data portion that kind of sideways into a couple other things. And so right now we have sent to the e-board and to the larger Mansfield Votes group a mission statement and action plan update. And so we have that under consideration. We got some feedback already. We're hoping to have that sent out to the full committee before the next meeting and voted on and approved. We added in clear deadlines and goals to help better define where we want to move the committee and how we want to accomplish. The second part of that is the new member brochure that we were working on before that. I think we have maybe one or two tweaks, but I think we can do that at the same time as the mission statement and action plan. And so with both of those approved, we'll be able to move on to a summer of recruitment and outreach, which would be a lot of fun for everyone, especially after a year and stuck inside in a pandemic. So.
Yeah. All right, great. Any questions for Brendan? All right, local committee reports, ad hoc committee on the election support of committee members. Colin?
Yes. Yes, we've had a couple of meetings. We're still kind of flailing away. I wanted to bring a couple of things to the broader committee's attention, or maybe get some advice. We usually do not participate in primaries or as far as endorsing candidates, right?
Right.
So does the committee feel as though we should eliminate primary races from support of candidates that are running? In other words, if we're thinking of developing an infrastructure to support candidates in the election, that would be there. And we don't know how broad this support is going to be, but whether or not we should include primaries in this. Say somebody from our committee was running in a primary. Would
Against
that
someone who's
be-
not on the committee, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that would, what are people's
So
thoughts
how
on
would
that?
you handle it? Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has any.
and I guess there's also the less controversial, what if there's only one Democrat running in the primary?
Right, then we should just support that person, I would think, right?
Yes,
Early,
right. If there's
support
no
early.
opposition, it's not
Yeah.
a problem. Right.
But you're saying if there's a member of our committee running against someone from another town or something?
It's quite possible. So,
Well-
we want to nail that down in terms of whether or not we're going to offer the support that we hope will come out of our committee to that particular candidate against another Democratic candidate from another community. So that's another thing. It looks like we're leaning toward developing a campaign coordinator position for our town committee, something like an outreach coordinator that would have under her or his auspices it's a big job. It'd be a lot of work. And whether or not that'd be a permanent position or whether or not it would be just during the campaigning season, we haven't really got around to that yet. My thoughts is that it should be a permanent position because it's going to be a lot of work. So, and then the campaign coordinator would develop subcommittee members that would handle different parts of a campaign, like door-to-door canvassing, financial support, phone banking, signage, lawn signs, stuff like that. So it would take, what we're thinking about is, where do we want to cut this off? Do we want to cut this off just for state elections? Do we want to go to the federal election? And so it becomes a huge work problem in terms of the scope of it. If you're going to be, every campaign is going to use us to access our membership to campaign for them as a Democrat. It's a lot of work. So maybe, I know Costas brought up last night that maybe we just do like state rep. We could do other candidates from other communities, because we have three districts in Mansfield. So likely we're not going to get 3 candidates from Mansfield running in all those districts. So we offer those candidates because it's a direct neighboring community. But so I think it dawned on all of us how much work this is going to be in terms of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a couple of quick thoughts on the latter question. I mean, we could potentially include, like, rather than explicitly include or exclude categories, include a priority list. Our first priority will be, state representative, second priority, state senate, to emphasize that if we don't have enough resources to go around, focus on the more local elections, figuring, the federal candidates have a broader, reach, that, since the idea of this was to be able to, bring our local resources to the campaigns that don't quite have the reach.
Right.
On the, I was also thinking on the first point of, kind of in town versus out of town. I mean, it's sort of a cop out, but, maybe we could just leave it as an open option, basically, say something like, while, the town committee will not endorse a candidate, in the primary election, resources may be used to support a member of the committee or something like that,
Yeah.
so it
Sort of
just
waffling.
kind of kicks the can to the case where it may actually happen.
Right.
I
And
think we're going.
Joe
I
has his
think we
hand
could.
up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Deb. Couple of things. I hear what you're saying about a lot of work, Colin.
yes,
But when you would talk about a campaign coordinator and having people doing different tasks such as leafleting, I
right,
kind of think of that as a coordinated effort. I don't think it has to be an either or type of thing. I think we include our rep candidates. We include, I don't know what's up. I don't think anything's up for federal the next time, but let's say Warren was running, or our governor candidate. I see it as one big package that doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of work. I see it, coordinated all as one big thing.
right. So you're saying include all the Democrats in this?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes time, if we want to make financial contributions, then of course
Right.
we make some decisions. But
Right.
as far as like efforts out in the street efforts, I think we do it all, and I think it helps
Yeah.
the entire ticket, including anyone who's running more locally. And
Absolutely. That was my
a lot
vision
more-
originally.
I'm sorry?
I haven't been involved in a campaign on the ground level in years. So when I did it, it was a lot of work, and I was just one candidate. So I just wondered if it's still a lot of work. I mean, I've leafleted, I've gone door to door, I've done phone banking.
It is a lot of work, but I think if you, I think that's the reason to coordinate it. We might find
Right.
5 people who are helping the governor candidate, and 10 people who are helping Paul Feeney, and whoever else is running. I don't think coordinating it makes it harder. I think it makes it a lot more efficient, though.
Oh, I agree with that. That's why, the concept of the coordinator is, I think, a good one. It's just whether or not you'll get sufficient volunteers to coordinate the other various aspects of the campaign, to take over leafleting, to take over phone banking, and just develop a crew of people.
I think if we do it as a team, and I think if we put that understanding out there, I think it would work that way.
Right.
right,
And-
Randy,
and the
you had
other
your hand
thing-
up?
Yes, yes. We have a long-standing policy that I think we should rely upon is help not endorsing anyone in the primary. I think, everyone comes together after the primary. And then I'm just saying, suppose someone from our town wants to run for senator against Paul Feeney. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I don't think that's gonna, I don't think we should stick by those kind of rules. I think we should come together after the primary. People have different points of views and on who they want for candidates to put an endorsement out. Mansfield supports this candidate, but I think that would cause a lot of confusion within the committee over a period of time. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you would oppose doing anything in the primary in terms of organized efforts within our committee?
Right. I like the policy that we always had. I kind of like
Right.
that,
Yeah, I agree with you, Randy. So
Mhm.
that's all good input. The thought I had is if we start small, and this is another way of sort of portioning out, seeing how it works at first, that you start with maybe just a state rep race or just a Senate, just the local state races, and see how that works. And then you can expand it if that works well. If that's not too onerous, then we can expand it to the other races as need be, but only during the general election.
all right. Sally has her hand up and so does Lee. So Sally first. Which then she just disappeared.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you
Okay.
Ally?
So I think the idea of someone coordinating or a point person for the campaigns is a very good idea, because someone from out of town looks at our membership list and doesn't really know how to differentiate one person from another, or who might be likely to be a point person for, or want to be active on this candidate or that one. So I think there's really some good discussion here.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I want to say.
good point, Sally. And we want to be a one-stop shop for the candidate. They come to the coordinator, they say, we need this, this, and this, and the coordinator knows exactly what to do, what people to be involved, what people to contact, and it just happens. So that's how I envisioned it, but there's a
For
lot.
leafleting and so on, it's up to the campaigns to find the volunteers.
Right. Oh, right. But I mean, if we have something in place that they can access, that's, all to the good.
Okay, Lee, did you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me back. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm safe. I've been staying active, and I just want to put this out there. I'm not too sure if many of you are aware of the elections going on in Virginia. Commonwealth of Virginia has 13 incumbent office holders that need spotlighting, and within that spectacle, we can't really lose any of those incumbents, because it's the most important ballot of this year. And to put a perk in, those of you in the committee or part of the board, all right, selectmen, Emily's list has a pre-Oscar event, a virtual event going on this month with Catherine Clark and Governor Michelle Grissom, along with Chelsea Handler, the actress, and Samantha Bee and Lucy Liu. If any of you are interested, I can send you the link.
Okay, why don't you do that? Sharon, you had a question in the chat. Would you like to ask your question? You have to unmute. You're still muted. There you go.
Had to do thing.
Oh.
Well, I guess in going forward, what happens if there's a member that doesn't agree with the values or the work of the candidate who is in the primary, and or if that candidate then moves into the general election? does that mean that everybody who's a member of the Mansfield Democratic Town Committee has to support that person, or is there some flexibility here?
Well, it's
Oh,
still
no,
free country,
absolutely.
right? I
No,
mean,
absolutely not. I mean, you don't have to support anyone you don't agree with. That's,
Yeah.
the thing
Well,
about this.
I think it's an important, I think it's an important question. That's all I'm saying. I just want to make sure that that's considered.
Yeah, no, nobody's forced to vote for or support or work for anybody that they don't.
Right. Well, once we get past the
However-
primary, the chances of you agreeing more with the Republican than whoever the primary winner is.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
So,
right. That's what I'm saying.
I suppose you could be more for an independent candidate somehow, but I mean, we do have the situation, I think it's in Suffolk. I don't know, it's DeLeo's old seat where there's a Trump candidate who won the primary in the Democratic election. So
really,
it can happen.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. You know, and I guess, you know, I'm also thinking that somewhere down the line, we're in Bristol County and somehow, I know this is a little off topic, but you know, we have to really figure out what to do about the Bristol County jail situation. And
Well, we got to get somebody to run first.
yeah, that's
From the good guys.
it.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's a, let me check. I think, let me see, there is a special date.
Well, wait,
where
Annette
they're
has her hand
having
up.
something about you
Go
know,
ahead.
qualifications for candidates for that. I've got to look it up in my email. I'll
Okay,
probably
while
put
you
it in
do
the
that,
chat. I'll
Annette,
put it
what
in
did
the
you have to
chat.
say?
So if I might, Deb, could I just ask Brendan if he has anything to add, because he's certainly an expert on this.
All right, and Annette has a question too. So-
I'll let Annette go. I don't have anything specific at the moment.
All right, Annette?
On the question you've been just discussing from Sharon, if the town committee publishes something, publishes an ad or an op-ed or a letter to the a letter to the editor, then perhaps it should be signed by individual members instead of from the whole committee. If there's any, you know, if there's.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point, I think.
I don't see why
That's a
not.
good point.
I'll bring that to the, because that was part of it, was publicity through the papers and letter writing campaigns and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
Thank you, Colin, for the work you're doing on this.
no problem. It's lots of fun.
Well, I have another question. Is that
Okay.
I mentioned in the chat, did you discuss having precinct captains?
We have discussed it very, very tangentially. I don't know that this town identifies much as a precinct. I mean, we know what precinct we're in, but I'm not sure how far it extends or where my friends are. So it's not like a city where you have a ward or precinct. That was my thought, but it might be a good way to organize it. I don't know. What are the thoughts of the committee?
I think they could be useful in kind of organizing by neighborhoods.
Mhm.
For example, in the East Mansfield, East Mansfield is split between at least two different precincts. But if you took, for example, just my precinct, the part down beyond Flint Farm, that's a pretty broad area that would be pretty tangential. The houses are all close together, and that might be a possibility for a precinct captain to do some good work.
Yeah, it would be an easy way to organize it geographically, but it would take a lot more people power, because you
That's a lot of people.
got 6 precincts, and if you have
Yes,
6 captains and then they have people working under them at various other aspects of campaigning, then it multiplies. It's not exponential, but it's pretty big.
Mhm.
Okay, my other question was, you were discussing supporting committee members. And my question in the chat was, if a community member, could somebody answer the
Is that right?
community member runs in a primary, then loses, could supporting them jeopardize our future relationship with the elected candidate? For example,
Yeah, yes, that's,
as a rep, that's something we'd have to really keep
yeah.
on.
I don't want to speak for the ad hoc committee, but I think that we should keep out of the primaries myself, but.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't
I-
know what our ultimate proposal will be, but I'm thinking we're leaning toward not doing the primary.
And just allowing people to do their own
Right. Just allowing all the candidates to address us, and
field.
whoever work for them, they can work for them.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Joe, is
You're
your hand up again or is it still up? It says 2 participants raised hands. I don't know if it's, but you're muted.
I'm muted.
No, Joe is.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I raised it again. I mean, I can't speak for everyone. Nobody spoke, not everyone spoke on this, but I don't care any support that as a committee, we should be involved in a primary.
I don't either.
I think there's just real consensus on that. I think it could be,
Messy.
yeah, and I think it'd be a bad precedent, and I think it could be divisive, and it could unintentionally make some people feel ostracized. I don't think there's anything unifying about it at all.
There's
So
nothing in
I
there.
think we should probably just drop the idea of getting involved in a primary.
Okay.
Just wanted to bring it to you folks and see what your ideas are, and I think I have a pretty good idea now.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your-
All right.
You're welcome.
Great. Is that everything with that?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it is.
All right, good. All right, Scholarship Committee, Mary Kate. Nothing to report?
No, not really. We still have a couple weeks left before our deadline, which is April 30th. And so if you know anyone who's eligible, which is basically any graduating senior from Mansfield, not necessarily Mansfield High School, please let them know they can apply. And this year we're accepting applications online. People can submit online. And interestingly, I have received a number of recommendations from teachers, but not yet the students who have been recommended. So
Somehow that's not shocking.
it's not-
Right.
They're
I
coming in
assume
on
we'll get
April
them.
30th.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's it.
All right, great. Membership Committee, Joe?
Just
Where'd
keep
you
that
go?
mute button off and just
Yeah.
be quiet. Thanks for sending out the notice in the last email notice about the regular meeting. I'm happy that both Mark Vigorito and Brendan Roach agreed to be on it again. And Nancy Madonna does as well. And for those past members, I sent you an email saying would love to have your continuation and would love to have new people as well. We're looking at maybe, we've always been about membership recruitment, but I think we can expand a little bit beyond that. And I think Mary Kate, you did this when you were chair, making it about member services as well. So we'll meet before the next May meeting and we'll have more to report.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any committees I'm forgetting about? All right, good. What about the state committee reports?
I'll just say that the next meeting is a week from Saturday, and we'll be talking about when the state convention will be. And it will be autumn, and probably caucuses late summer. I don't know. It depends on when. So Deb, I'll send you a notice, and all the chairs in the district a notice of that. Also, Field Services Committee met recently, which is the state party subcommittee for servicing ward and town committees and city committees. Randall Tatum is a new member. So we're happy to welcome him and his input at the last meeting. So if you have any questions along those lines, we're both available for that too. I don't know if you have anything to add, Randy, on that. It was good to see you at the meeting. I know you called me about it. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you yet, but I'm home tomorrow. You're on mute.
Okay. Anything else? Randy, you have something to say?
Yeah, he's on mute though.
All right.
I'm glad to be part of the field service committee with Joe, and because I feel we can get closer to the people that vote, our constituents, and I think that's a very important committee. I was briefly on there previously, and then I was involved in other committees, and right. And we have a labor committee coming up a week from Thursday night. And so I think that's going to be a very important meeting we're going to be having. They're talking about the strike of the nurses in Worcester, and that's still going on. And there's a lot of resistance there, and hopefully that can get resolved. But the company that controls that is a Texas company, and they're trying to play hardball from what I gather. And my concern is, I brought it up with the chair of the labor committee. Since we hope to get the infrastructure passed through Congress, and I just asked him about America should be, we should put our efforts into reopening steel mills. And, I think that's very, very important, especially with all the trillions of dollars going into this infrastructure, rather than having foreign steel. So I don't know if that's possible because a lot of steel mills closed down, but that should be raised, I think. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Neponset Valley Young Democrats? Brendan?
Hello. Yep. So we have our meetings the first Monday of every month. So we had our previous meeting last Monday, April 5th, and we had Ted McIntyre of Massachusetts Climate Action Network, and we had a great discussion about the climate bill that had passed and upcoming next steps like possible net zero stretch code, investment in public transportation and electric vehicles, and kind of where the future is in a lot of aspects and what goals. It's unfortunate that Ben Downing's not here because he released a big climate proposal last week. That was to build off of the bill that passed. That would have been fascinating to build off of. But our next meeting is May 3rd at 7 p.m. We haven't met yet to figure out plans, specifics on that, but we have our YDMA state convention in June, and we are hoping to have our YDA convention in August in Cincinnati. Hopefully, they're hoping to have it in person, but we're still waiting to see. So that's what's coming up with Young Dems.
Great. Ben Downing rescheduled for our June meeting, just FYI. Okay, new business. Is this a good time to insert the town meeting information, the town meeting discussion?
Why not?
Sure.
Why not? Let's do it. Frank, do you want to tell us any important warrant articles that?
Well, I will start out by pointing out that our next meeting is May 20th, which is 4 days before the actual town meeting. So we'll probably have a lot more detail on some of the issues. I know specifically on the planning articles. I haven't looked at those closely yet, but a handful of things that might be of interest. First of all, the budget is structurally balanced. We haven't reviewed all the departments yet, but it's structurally balanced, and that's largely the result of the ARP monies. There are restrictions on that money. They're not, they haven't fully been released yet, but we do know that one of the uses of the money is to replace revenues that were lost because of COVID, and both the select board and with the help of the finance committee are looking closely at that. And I should say, actually, finance director Barry Lacasse and the town manager, along with the volunteer help, looking closely at that to make sure that any revenues we identify as having been lost are revenues that actually had been lost and will be recuperated, will be recouped with the economy coming back. So we're not trying to, just use money for the sake of using money. There should be money left over. So that's the budget. Let's see. We have a vacant building bylaw on the agenda. That's something that people may look at, like the Payne School is the example that everyone looks at and say, well, that's a day late and a dollar short, but there are provisions for both residential and commercial going forward. I had heard that the Payne School property had been sold, but recently I saw a for sale sign on it again, so I don't know if that's fallen through or not. But we've lived with that situation for quite a while, and so hopefully we won't have other situations like that in the future because we'll have a legal framework to deal with it. Becoming a green community, or actually adopting the stretch building code so that we'll be eligible to become a green community is on the agenda for this year. And everyone's favorite, the electronic billboard on 495 article is up again.
Same group?
I'm sorry?
The same people want to put in the same location?
I believe it's the same people, and I think you can't reconsider an article at the subsequent town meeting, but it's been two actually. So this will be the second town meeting since it's been suggested. So that's coming up again, and so that's
you have something to say?
On the billboards, if any of you have driven down Route 95 and looked, trying to pay attention to the traffic, and there is a huge billboard that keeps flashing, changing the entries on the right after the Sharon exit, I believe. And it is so distracting. It really is. And any of these that you see around really are distracting, and I don't think they even should be allowed, especially here in Mansfield.
Yeah, I'll lead with my chin on that one and say that you'll recall at the last town meeting, 4 of the select board members, including myself, voted for it. I've been since convinced otherwise. Only Selectman Ryan voted against it.
The first time.
The Finance Committee voted for it, so that's just. It didn't come close last time, and I think sentiment is kind of switching the way you like to see it. The most interesting things I think is we just added to the agenda consideration of removing the fire department and police department from civil service. The fire department actually negotiated a contract with the town that's been ratified that takes them out of the civil service system. The civil service, as some of us remember, the civil service system was from the 1920s, and it was a very progressive thing, but it's since become kind of a straitjacket, especially for the public safety departments, because when an opening occurs, we have to, because we're part of the civil service system, we have to go to the civil service list, and that's based upon a standard exam. And we all know about the issues with standard exams. So that kind of ties our hands in, especially when we're trying to look to diversify our workforce. So I think it's a necessary step. It's not the solution. Once those handcuffs are taken off, you have to actually move your hands and do something. So I know but it's a first step. That's pretty much what
Joe
I
had
have. Elections May 11th,
and the town meeting's May 24th, right? Joe had his hand up.
Yeah, twice this issue has come up that I remember on the billboards.
Yeah.
Really sick of them trying to shove this down our throats. And let me tell you something. Town of Randolph, where I grew up, was elected town meeting. And I was a town meeting member. And Ackerley had came in and they had pushed bringing in billboards, and they promised to limit them and to fund the town and to have restrictions and be careful. I go back to Randolph these days, it looks like Las Vegas. Don't believe them. They're not telling the truth. Billboards are offensive. They're a blight. They're a blight on our city and town. I really urge everyone to get out there, really get out there and fight this. This is a special interest trying to bamboozle us. And I've seen them bamboozle in other places. That we're talking about really bad folk with a really, really, our town should not be commercialized. And we shouldn't, there's no price for our town. We shouldn't take any money to be a commercial town.
I like,
All
I
right,
like
any-
that.
Go ahead.
I like to add the fact that Annette mentioned the billboards on 95. There's a billboard right here on 495 in Norton, not too far, right down the road here. And I would like to, I wonder if we could just, as a committee, take a position on the billboards. Would that help us? Or?
Yeah,
Well,
maybe it's back
Let's
up,
see what-
but the last time I went by 495, that billboard was down and it was up couple weeks before, and
I saw it the other day.
it's back up. So I don't know what they were doing with it.
But anyway,
That's
it's there.
suggested.
It's there. And like Joe, I think they're offensive. And,
well, are you making a
they're not
motion
good.
to have the committee take a position?
Yes, can I make a motion that the committee take a position against the billboards?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? All right. Maybe we'll try to get a letter to the editor in before town meeting.
Thank you, because I think it destroys the character of a town.
Maybe we should phone bank or email our members and ask them to get people up there, make it like the vote type of effort.
Yeah. I think we should. Now that we've taken a formal position. It says two participants. Christian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just a question. Anticipating the response to the letter to the editor, do we have an economic argument that we can be prepared to make against the billboard? Because that's the first thing that somebody disagrees with us is going to say is, well, we need the revenue. What's our response? And can we anticipate that in the letter to the editor rather than just taking a sort of a moral stance?
I think it might be a quality of living.
Right.
How much money are we talking about, Frank?
As I recall, last year, it was like $50,000 spread over a number of years. And I think the point was well made by many people. I know Sally spoke on this, that it was not enough money to sell your soul for, kind of
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
I understand why you want to do a letter to the editor. I think a more direct approach to just get people out there. We don't need to let the people that are pushing it and supporting it. I don't know if we want to let them know that we're organizing.
Okay.
I think the best thing to do is
Good point.
organize and get people
Good
out
point.
there.
Good point.
All right. We'll get the word out to our members.
Good.
All right. Anything else about town meeting?
I can't think of anything else right now, but on the meeting on the 20th, put aside a little time. We can answer questions better at that point, I think.
Okay. All right.
So the
Thank
next
you.
meeting's the
have a question.
20th?
I think actually we should rent a billboard asking people to vote against the article. We could have
Get
it a
the-
flashing neon
Flashing
light.
lights.
A really
The
ugly
mobile,
light,
the
yeah.
mobile video billboard.
Yeah.
Lee, is your hand up?
Yeah. I have a question for Joe Kaplan. Kaplan, you mentioned that our committee was advertised in Nevada, well, Las Vegas, which I find is tremendously huge because Mansfield is very popularly known from President Biden. Town of Mansfield had 65 to 68% of votes for our president, and to say that our committee out of 1,000 in Massachusetts was advertised in the state of Nevada is really, really good. But
No,
I
I'm
understand-
sorry, Lee, I think you misunderstood me. I was saying Randolph now looks like Nevada. It looks like Las Vegas with all the billboards and everything.
Randolph,
Okay.
Massachusetts, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Sally, is your hand up?
Okay.
You're muted.
Yeah. Quickly about the town meeting, is it outside? What is the format of? Is the town meeting outside? What is the format of this week?
Yes, it's going to be at the Xfinity Center like last time. They're looking into getting tents in case there's rain. It is May 24th, which is earlier than it was last year. So last year was quite hot. It might be cool that evening. So
Yeah,
I think we're all hoping against hope that things will improve and not stay stable or get worse. It's not the best solution, but it's the one we have.
okay, thank you for all that. Potential new members, new associate members in attendance.
Well, we have Suzanne.
Yes.
Finally pushed her off the fence and into our side.
Can I get a motion to approve Suzanne as an associate member?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Welcome, Suzanne. Not that you haven't been here anyway, but you know.
Thank you.
Now official.
Thank you.
Melanie, are you a member already?
I think she is. Isn't she, Austin? I
Melanie?
think she is. Melanie, yeah.
Yeah, I think she
Have to
is.
double check,
Yeah.
but I think.
All right, pleasure of the committee. Anything?
I'll just note that after a brief hiccup at the beginning, getting us live on YouTube, I did eventually figure it out. I still need to figure out how to attach the stream to a pre-scheduled link, but I was able to put us up anyway. So something to research for next month.
Oh, man.
Frank?
Just one more time, I want to point out that the local election is May 11th. You know, I don't know if everyone saw the turnout in North Attleboro. It was fairly poor. It would be nice to get good turnout for the local election and support the people who are running.
Yeah. Brendan, is your hand up?
It is, but did Sally have something still? I think she had her hand
No,
up
I can't
before
tell
me.
people are still up or up again.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Jim Hawkins submitted a bill to statewide nip bottle ban. And I just wanted to let people know that to support that effort. Maybe Jim can come to our next meeting and talk about it. That was it.
Yeah. All right, Brendan.
Well, I guess I would just welcome our guest Emmanuel if he has any questions for the committee as to how to get started and how to keep going.
Oh, I have so many questions, but I'm going to reach out to some of you individually. I think I could take all night. This has been great. I think that's 84 members now. Is that right? With Suzanne being added?
Is that right, Austin? You're muted.
It's close. Let's see,
Yeah,
I just
very-
closed. Yeah. Although technically it's been a little while since I've gone through to make sure everyone is still living in town, so we may lose a few that way. But
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate
Pretty
it.
healthy
Very
committee. No, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yep.
And feel free to email me afterward. All right. Anything else, people? Motion to adjourn?
So move. So move.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
See you, everyone.